Take 3? What the hell? Hi everybody, welcome to the show. This is my third start because nothing looks right to me and it's irritating me. I'm trying to not get my head caught off or not get my head cut off here, but I still need to be close enough to the microphone. So I don't know who designed this, but it's awful. Awful. And you could see we're in my craft room because it's cold out. It's too cold to be outside. So I'm wearing my robe because something's happening with the furnace and I'm pissed off about it. Because like the cold messes with my mobility. So the colder it is, the less my hands work. So I have found that my body works okay at the lowest in the winter at 72 degrees. So like I woke up today and it was 68 and like my hands are still, I've been up for like 3 hours and my hands are still killing me. And the temperature is still not up to 72. So I think the furnace is fine. It's just, it's the blower's not kicking on or something. So it's not actually warm in here at all. So that's making me, have some feelings. Most of them are just pain. Anyway, today is episode 67, March dye projects. Because I dyed 12 skeins of yarn this week. So one of them, the actual dye project, was a major fail, which we're still going to go over and I'll still teach it to you. I'm sorry for the glare. I can't get rid of this glare no matter where I'm looking today. And so if you want an episode, you're just going to have to deal with it because I've already rearranged things like 8 times. I've started recording 3 times and I'm just getting more and more frustrated. And the more frustrated I get, the worst episode it's going to be. So before I just walk off and don't even give you an episode, we're just going to trudge on, okay? What did I say? Yeah, so the actual dye project was a complete fail, but I was able to come up with a former dye project that we ended up not using. Points if you know what it is already. I reworked one of those skeins to fit in with my vision for the Hawthorne's Tonal Shawl, Hawthorne, whatever it is. Because of course I didn't write it down. But anyway, I don't think I have any updates. So shall we just get started? Let's get started. Okay, so, whips. First whip is the top. That now does look like a top. This is, what did I say this was? Wool of the Andes worsted in a marble heather. Now remember, if you're buying this is from Knit Picks. If you're buying this, remember they come in 50-gram balls. So make sure you're going to know. You think it's a great deal until you're like, oh, that's only a 50-gram ball. So I've got all the ends woven in except for the very, last, all the tops. So it's a top now. So I just started the second ball. So, and dropping stitches. This is great for my mood. So I just started the second one. This has been my night project, but last night I didn't even work on it because I was working on something else. So that's this. Looks like a top now. Almost done. Nothing. There's never anything remarkable to say about these because they're just pretty straightforward tops. The next two you have not seen. So, okay guys, don't get too excited about this yarn because we're going to talk about this yarn in dye project, but right now we're talking about this whip. Okay, this is the half a Cardi, and I actually made enough to split for sleeves, and I was on gauge. I was on gauge perfectly. I'll tell you what the gauge was because I have it written down. This gauge was 22 stitches and 30 rows for 4 inches or 10 centimeters, whichever you prefer to use. I was spot on. However, hers was on 4s. I had to go down to a 3.5 to get this gauge. And the fabric's very nice. It's drapey and dense. So I think it'll block nicely. Nice sweater, you know. It's not too holy. My problem is that this armhole does not fit. The armhole does not fit. So I'm not sure because I haven't successfully made a Raglan top yet. This seems to be my problem is the armholes, right? The armholes don't fit. I must be longer in this because I do have a long torso anyway, so I'm wondering if I'm longer in the armpit to collar. I wonder if I'm just longer. So I wasn't sure if I needed to like add more to the sleeve itself, like keep doing these rounds, all the ways around, or if when I'm separating, if I would just need to cast on here, because they don't have you cast on any stitches under the arm for joining, which is something I thought you typically do. Especially with this one because it's so form-fitted and in one, I mean, granted, you guys, everything that has happened to me this week gave me the topic for next week. Remember, next week we have an open one, and I'm like, I know what I'm going to talk about now. This, I believe. Let me take a look at this. I can tell you this designer says right on her thing in the pattern, it's a free pattern, that it's only in her size. It's only in one size, which, you know, it's only in size extra small, which I can, you know, I can get behind because like my stuff that like these tops I give you, they're only to my size. And if you want to make it your size, I think it's pretty easy to make it. And oh, I've made one of her other patterns. I'm trying to see. It looks like Shizla socks and amigurumi. And baby clothes. And a poncho. Okay, so what I can tell you here is that she doesn't do a lot of sweaters. And that's probably why this is a free pattern, is that she doesn't do this type of thing, and it just happened to be something she made that she just wanted to put out there if in fact we wanted to make it or change it or whatever. She gave us what she did, and you're perfectly able to do that if you know how to work a sweater, I guess. Because I'm just confused as to where I need to make this also. Should I just try it on and show you? I'll just try it on and show you. Okay, now granted, I have not done very many rows after the join. There's hardly any. But because I ran out of yarn and I didn't want to start a new ball because I'm not sure I'm going to have enough for sleeves. So my first thing was to see if this came over here and was nice on the neck. It is. It's very nice on the neck here. And the clasp I have will do like this. So I was like, okay, good. Very, very nice. Very nice. The Raglans seem to be okay, right? They seem to be. I don't think my... Is this maybe... No, I don't think this is too tight. I'm trying to figure out what the problem is. And the problem of where the fit is, see, it feels like it's pulling up into my armpit. So to me, that would mean I need more rounds before because it's right there, right? So you think that means we need more rounds before we join? And that means I'm going to have probably an issue of having enough to finish. Where's the back of this? Oh my goodness, it's way up here. Oh my goodness. There's no way I'm going to have enough yardage to finish this. Okay, well that just made that decision for me. But anyway, I was wondering, like, is the problem, do I need more stitches? If I put more stitches here, would that do anything? Maybe. I still feel like, I mean, that might be something I try first, maybe. But I'm still not sure I'm going to have enough for the arms. Maybe I should do one. Well, I'd have to do this before I do the arm. Okay. I haven't quite decided the fate of this yet. Which is disappointing. I'm disappointed with this because the actual top part of it turned out perfect. Exactly what I wanted, to just have this part open and have enough on the back to be warm. But I could always do something similar in, like I think I could get up to gauge if I used a DK. I could get up to gauge on the 4s if I used a DK, I think. And then I would have more yardage because I only have specific yardage of this. I don't have more. I can't get more. So I'm thinking of making some sort of shrug out of this because then we wouldn't have to worry about any of this part. We could just do, basically sleeves. But then that whole opening for the sleeve, then gets kind of big. What I really wanted to do is the split sleeves with like a mock turtleneck, like that type of thing, but without the mock turtleneck. I'd like this type, but just go sleeves off of it. But then I want the full back is probably my problem there, is that I want the full back. I want the back to come down, so maybe that's not what I want to do. Okay, so anyway, we're going to scrap this project because it's not going to work, and I don't want to put all this work into it and not have it fit. So let's just say for right now, for the month, it's going to sit in the bag until I decide, but it's probably going to get scrapped. If I get a bug about it, maybe I will try to, cast on some here and see if that'll fix it. Because I do want it up to my neck. Like, I'm even wondering if I should make this smaller. If I make this smaller to be closer up, then we could do more. We'll see. We started the Raglan Poncho, the Raglan Poncho, which you're not going to be able to see because it's black. But we knew that, right? So here I started the Raglan Raglans again, right? But here's the thing. While I was going over that, I watched a I watched a lot of YouTube videos about raglan sizing and why they don't fit. And okay, like the why they don't fit is because our front and our back is not the same. Especially if you have a bigger bust, you're not going to have the right thing. And then plus the back of the neck and the front of the neck, you have so you need short rows to do that, which I did not want to do with this because it's a mock neck. I thought we didn't really need that. But now I'm wondering if for fit, if we do we need that? Like I'm wondering how involved this is going to be, because for the one with the slits in the front that we're going to steek, I didn't want to have to do those there either, because that's going to have a full turtleneck with the fold over. So I don't think you're going to need that because of how it's going to sit on the neck. I don't think it's going to be necessary. Do you know what I mean? But should we do it anyway? Because I'm a perfectionist and everything has to be perfect all the time. I don't know. So anyway, I was reading about why they don't fit, how to get them to fit better, and all these other things. So and then there were the percentages of how to distribute the back, front, and the sleeves. And this one, I went with 10% on the sleeves. I can tell you exactly what I did. Well, we did our regular 64 for the top, for the neck. And then after that, I did one round in the 5mm. And that's where I placed all my markers. So we did 10%, which was 6 for sleeves and 26 for the front and the back. And I just tried this on, and I felt like the sleeves were a little bit not enough, and the back and front were a little too much. So I was thinking of going to 10% or 15%. So it's either 8 or 10 for the sleeves, and I was thinking of going 10 for the sleeve because this is going to be oversized, and I thought it would be better if we had more for the arms than for the front and the back, because that's what is going to keep it on us, is if it's snugger here, and then we have more room for our arms, right? Does that make sense? So I'm going to frog this back and redistribute the stitches and figure that out. But otherwise, it was looking good. It was, I think, a little bit tighter than I expected it to be, but also it hasn't been blocked, and this is superwash, so we know it'll stretch. So this is kind of taking over all of my attention right now. That's all for whips. So let's get right into dye project, because there's a lot of information, like always. What I'm going to show you first is the Mirsal Kina, which is 80% baby alpaca and 20% bamboo. And if you remember, this was gray. This was a very light gray. And I said I didn't really know what would happen, because we've got 80% baby alpaca, which is a protein fiber, which can be dyed with my acid dyes, because my acid dyes work on protein fibers. But that there was going to be 20% of that fiber, the bamboo, which is a cellulose fiber, which does not hold dye from acid dyes. You need I believe it's fiber reactive dye for cellulose fibers. I don't dye cellulose fibers, so I don't know. I am not someone to listen to about any of that. So if you remember, I made a joke about maybe I should do, when I was saying maybe I should do just one skein and see what happens, and then I said, but I'll probably, throw all 7 in there and cross my fingers and hope it all works out. And that's really what I did. I did 3. I did 3 in one pot and 4 in another pot. And then I did. I was like, let's just see what happens. I can't even apologize because that's just what I do. So let's see what we did here. So first of all, I did the temp. The temp worked out at 180. 180 seems to be my magic number for temperature dyeing. Everything we've done since I started doing this is 180 is when it starts. So I think I did get, I started to get steam at like 160, just steam at the top. But all of these go with the top on the stock pot. I keep the tops on. Now, when I talked to you about dyeing in a stock pot before, I told you that I hit 180 and then I turned it off and I put the lid on and I set a time for 20 minutes. Okay. And I didn't lose any heat. And that was true for my biggest and my second biggest stock pots. But then I used my third biggest and that was not true. I immediately lost heat. So it's going to depend on how big your pot is, how much water is in it. Okay. So let's go into what I did for this and why it looks like this. So while I was figuring out how much to put on it, first of all, this was done with, where am I? I didn't write down what I used. Dharma's True Black, and I used Dharma's True Black because there was so much of it. So I started with wanting 200 grams. Okay, hang on, 210. So I started with 5%. Is that what that's saying? 5%? Because 200 grams at 5% would be 10 grams, right? Because that's 5 for each 100 grams. Okay, so I was going for a 5%, but then I decided okay, and here's a question too that I don't know. Since the fiber is a blend, 80% baby alpaca, 20% bamboo, does that also mean that the workup of the weight of the fiber is 80% of the weight baby alpaca and is 80% or 20% of the weight bamboo? I don't know. I don't know if that's even something we can ever know. Because I don't know how they sit down. I don't know how they do that. You know what I mean? So sit down. You're not going anywhere. Sit down. I know you want to go investigate. So assuming the fiber weight was 20% less, so that would mean instead of saying that 100 grams was 100 grams, we were saying that 100 grams was actually 80 grams, okay? Because 80% of our fiber is protein fiber. So there's no sense in adding that extra 20% when we already know it's not going to have any effect on our other, which you can see because it's still gray. It's still gray in there. Yeah, it didn't get, but isn't that cool that it kept that gray? So what I did was I took 80% of those. So the 200 grams was actually 160, which gave us 8 grams. So the 4 got 8 grams. And then the 3, which would have been 150 grams, was actually 120 grams. And so that got 6.6 grams. Okay. And they both came out, like you can't even see because this red one is the one from the other batch, and they are all the same. They're all the same. They all look exactly the same. I was so excited when this came out of the pot. was so excited because it looks like heathered. It looks like a charcoal, like, oh my God, it's just gorgeous, right? So all that gray you see is the undyed bamboo. So pretty cool, right? Oh my God, I'm so excited about this. And now I'm like, now this has to be something really special. And I'm actually thinking, one of our Raglan ponchos. Because it's like almost sparkly. So either way, I did not cut any of these that went to the Cardi. I didn't cut them. So I'm not saying these are going to be a Raglan poncho, but they're probably going to be a Raglan poncho. I'm just not sure of that 600. That's like an extra 2. I'm trying to figure out how big it would, and if we're going to need one that's steeked or one that's not. But that's kind of where I'm heading with that one. But I'm so excited at how that color came out. Like it's probably my favorite one. Like I was so excited when that came out. It was nuts. So that's something to think about if you're doing a blend and you have cellulose in that blend that you know is not going to be. Now, I would love to do, what would have happened if that cellulose was like red, you know, or some other bright color? Like what would instead of getting this gray heathered, charcoal heather look, would we have, would that be red instead? Probably. I mean, I wonder if it would stain a little bit, but not exactly covered up. Anyway, also depends on how the other fiber is spun with the other one. Let's show you dye project, which is a giant failure. So I told you one was going to be black. What was this base? Oh, this was the base from Knitcrate. We didn't know what it was, right? So I'm sorry, this failed dye project. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, so this was 4 grams Pro Chem black. Just 4 grams. Nice, all over black Pro Chem. Not a problem. However, I wanted to do speckles, and at first I gave this a base color of 1% Pro Chem, 1 gram Pro Chem black, so it gave me this gray. And then my idea was I was going to speckle with Cabernet from Dharma, Spruce from Jacquard, Midnight Blue from Dharma, Deep Purple from Dharma, and then my mistake, black with Pro Chem. I should not have speckled with black because it overtook everything. I'm trying to find it good. And then I also did my speckles different. What I did was, first, obviously, I did the base color all over. And so that meant that there was acid in the yarn because it was soaking in this dye bath. And then it, was in the dye bath soaking up the dye. So we knew we had plenty of acid in it, right? So I squeezed it out, put it in my catering pan with nothing, just nothing at all. I probably should have cooked it in my dye pan because I didn't. What I did was I speckled it, took it out of my catering pan, and put it in my steamer, which I should not have done. I think I should have just did a very, very low immersion and just done the speckles. Like low immersion, I'm talking where there is just a little bit of water in the pan and this is on top of the water, like it's not submerged in the waters. And also my problem was I finger speckled. I took a glove and did, that speckle. And I don't like to do that. I like to do it with the cake duster or the spice jar. But I was lazy that day, and I didn't want to make them up to do that, because in order to do that, you have to take your dye powder. Sit down. You have to take your dye powder and mix it with citric acid, and then you sprinkle, and that's how you get good stuff. And then I did something that someone had shown me to do, and I do not recommend doing this. That after you speckle, you spritz with an acid water. Don't do that. That immediately destroyed all of my speckles. Immediately. And made them all run, especially the black. The black just ran. See how it just overtook everything. Everything. I'm not saying it's not a nice colorway. It's nice. It's just not what I was going for. And I mean, we have a lot of beautiful color in here. The spruce, the midnight blue. There's some Cabernet right here. It's a nice, deep, the heat kicked on for like 30 seconds. I was all excited and then it stopped. So, and we pretty much lost the bottom, the under the base color, which is what I was going for, was like, this with like a bunch of different colored speckles, which is what I was going for. And it did not turn out that way at all. Like, I really wanted just little, like, if you look at this is kind of what I was going for, right? This little bit right here was little bits of color against the light background. Here, yeah. Like this bit, kind of. Like a rainbow of speckles. That's not all what happened. So, I'm going to leave this for now, and have it with these two, because I want to, know that these two are the same base and they are together, because I can always dye this black, and I can always, use 2 skeins of fingering black for some, not going to be difficult for me to find something to do this with. I was just kind of disappointed in that I listened to too many people, and I should have, and I tried to cut corners, and I shouldn't have done that. But, live and learn. It's really a nice color anyway. But I also thought if we were going to use these together, I'm not sure there'd be enough contrast because of how much black is in the other one. Maybe we could still, but maybe the Elfie top. Maybe this might be good for the Elfie top. It actually might be good for the Elfie top. We'll mark this for the Elfie top, maybe. See how that yardage goes. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you is the Knitology, which you already saw this in my the Raglan Poncho. I keep forgetting what we're calling it. The Raglan Poncho. These were the Brooklyn Boy knits. Brooklyn Boy knits. They were blue. One was blue and blue, and the other one was blue, purple, and gray. I just showed them to you last episode. If you don't remember, go look. I did these at 5% depth of shade, Dharma's True Black. So 10 grams, because there's 200 grams of yarn, 10 grams of dye. got great coverage. Oh my God. This is so soft. Like, it's so soft. I'm really excited that this is going to be the poncho because it's so soft. Like, I was like surprised at how soft this was. So this will be the other side of the poncho. We've got plenty to finish it. But I'm enjoying working with it because it's so very soft. Very nice yarn. Okay, so are you ready for our actual dye project? Have you guessed where I got the yarn from? Did you guess where I took it from? Okay. Back in October, there was this little knit-along, mystery knit-along called Shawlography. I don't know if you heard of it. And I had decided to dye my own yarns for that. And then they came out a little too tonal for the rest of the yarn I had picked because they were Cascade Heritage. And so I had, in my wisdom and foresight, I had ordered more colors from Cascade Heritage in case mine did not work out. And those ones were more solidly colored than, it's just, there wasn't anything wrong with the colors I did. The colors I did were great. It was just, they were more tonal than the other colors, and I didn't like the way they worked in with that. And I thought, well, I'll be able to find, it's not hard for me to find something to use two skeins for. It's not a hardship. So if you remember this color, this is the teal we came up with. And it almost has a black glaze on it, which I really like. It almost has like the feeling of a black glaze, which I'm still not sure how to do like consistently all the time. This just happened kind of accidentally. So this color, I would have already told you, but I'm going to refresh your memory. This teal is 1 part black and 2 parts cyan. So to get a 1% on 100, in order to get 1% depth of shade on 100 grams, we did 0.33 gram of black, this would have been Dharma's True Black, and 0.66 gram of Dharma's Caribbean Blue, and that would have given us 0.99 grams, which is like pretty close enough to 1 gram. So that's how this came out. And I loved it immediately. I was like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Now, can you guess what my problem was with this? Because if I do black, right, we're going to end up with this, which would have been fine. But you know what I said? I'd really like a tonal black for this. And I tried a tonal black for this. It didn't work. So what I did was I took a color that I hadn't used yet. I had done a swatch. I made a dye swatch of it. And that is Prochem Charcoal. Where am I at? So I'm going to show it to you, and it's gorgeous. This is Prochem Charcoal. It's a tonal black. It is a tonal black. Oh, look at how gorgeous this thing is. It fits this color so perfectly. So perfectly. It just, I can't even tell you how great these look together. They look like they were the same. They're so consistent with each other. I think it's gonna, again, so happy with this. So if you don't remember, this was platinum. We used Dharma's platinum. It had, what did this have on it? It was 3.5% platinum. And I overdyed 4% Prochem charcoal. I had planned on doing 2%, and that wasn't enough. So I think I did, I don't remember how, I ended up with 4%. I did high heat, high acid, And the first time this went in, it went in dry. Put it in dry. I just put it like, I didn't put it in like this. I mean, I put it in like this. But I put it in dry. High heat, high acid. With the dye in it, high heat, high acid. So it was at 180 degrees, acid in there, dye in there. I think it was only 2% dye in there though. So I put it in dry, just like this, popped it in, and kind of let it go at its own pace in there. Because that is how I think we got the variations, okay? So where it could strike the fastest, it struck, and then the other places it took longer to strike just because it was still dry, and at the rate it came under the water, and everything was able to happen. So then I think because I did that the first time, the second time I just kept, I don't really know how many, I mean, I know the first time I did 2%. I don't know how many steps it took me to add the other 2% because I know it wasn't one. I think it might have been 2. I think I might have done 1%. I think I did 1%, and it was all getting darker. So the tonality was still, I'm just going to use the word tonality. I don't know what word to use. So the tonality was still there. So it just went darker. And then I had put in 0.5 gram. And then I was like, because remember, when your dark colors or when your yarn's wet, it is darker than it's actually going to look dry. And I was worried that the 0.5 gram wasn't going to be dark enough because of how it looked wet. And I was like, I really kind of want this looking as close to black as possible. So I did a full gram and just, I mean, look at this. Can you see the tones? Like, this is exactly what I wanted when I said I want a tonal black, and I got a tonal black. And I don't know how much of the, I mean, that's got to be the whole reason why this is charcoal, right? So I'm wondering if I had put this in wet, done a cold vat, and then heated up, added the acid, if then we would still get this effect. I don't know. I might try it, but I just was shocked that I can't wait to start this. It's going to be gorgeous. I was shocked that it was as tonal as, oh my God, it's so perfect. It's so perfect. I'm so proud of this. This is like my new favorite color. For everything that's not going to be, black. I'm going to do this. I'm in love with this tonal black. So if you want a tonal black, I would recommend Pro Chem's Charcoal. Don't you just love it? Oh my God. I can't wait. So this is a different base. This is Cascade Heritage. So this is that only in a sock weight? Cascade Heritage sock yarn. 75% merino superwash, 25% nylon. 100 grams, 437 yards. Okay, so this is one of my favorite bases, to be honest. It is super affordable for sock yarn. Some people have complained that it pills a bit. I have not found that to be true, but I don't use these for socks. I use them for shawls. And they are one of the softest bases. I'm talking like cashmere soft without the fluffy. So, and they come in a bunch of colors. I got these at Jimmy Bean's, which I don't normally shop at, but I got these at Jimmy Bean's because they had the colors that I wanted for my thing. So these, you can buy them bare. Still cost the same amount as if you got them colored, but I didn't care because I wanted the base. This is one of those that I will always, if they're on sale, I will buy them just to dye them black and make a shawl out of them. Because the 437 is really good to pair with any indie dyer that has a 437 that's a 75/25, then you don't have to buy a black at indie dyer prices. Well, I don't, because I can just dye it black. So what I'm saying is you can buy black. It's like $8 to $10 for this, and pair it with an indie dyed. I do that all the time. Pair it with an indie dyed skein. So then you're paying like $30 for one skein and 10 for the other one. Brings down the cost of your shawl. Or if there's another color you want, because it comes in a bunch of colors, you could do anything. I think they have. Is that Cascade? Do they have prints still in this, in the Cascade Heritage? I think they had some prints. I don't know. Or maybe hand painted, or there's something. I'm not exactly sure of a good source for this, because I only bought these on Jimmy Beans. But I don't think Cascade actually like sells their own stuff. Like, that's what I hate. If I want to see your entire library and I want to be able to buy any of it, you know? It's like the Cascade, the 220s that I get for my tops, I buy those off Webs. And even then, you don't get the whole, what do you call it? The whole catalog of colors that they have, which I wish you could do. So anyway, it's a great base. Totally recommend it. It's super, super soft. I have not had any pilling problems, but I use them as shawls. So I also don't think pilling is a problem. It's something that happens with yarn. Super, super soft. Oh my God, I can't wait to make this. I really cannot. Do you love these? Are you like in love with, oh my God, how did you do that? How did you do this? How did you make these so perfect for each other? It's a mystery. I'm really, really hoping I can recreate the charcoal in something else. Did I give you everything? I think I gave you everything, right? I'm so excited about this charcoal. Oh my gosh. It just came out perfect. It came out exactly what I was envisioning in my head, which so rarely happens in art, right? Like, how often are you able to exactly do what you had in your head? Really? And show it and be like, that's perfect. I just love them. They're so yummy. Are they yummy? I'm so excited. So I think I'm even going to do the tassels. I think, oh, right, this is what I was going to tell you. 437, right? So we have more yardage than the pattern calls for, right? They have like 300 something, right? I'm remembering 350, maybe 350. So we'll have more yardage. I still haven't done a gauge swatch because these are still hanged up. So I'm going to start this on Saturday. Excuse me, I don't know where they came from. So I'm gonna start this Saturday. This will be what do you call it? Weekend project. I'm assuming it's gonna. I haven't even looked at it. Saturday project, night project, Monday through Friday project. I'm not sure what I'm gonna start on. Maybe the shorts, since the shorts are next month's project for sure. I might. I think that Raglan Poncho will be finished next week. So if that gets finished next week, then this will become my main project, as long as my hands can handle it. And at that point, I might start back up on the shorts just to get them done, because I got to figure out what tops we're going to do. And then I'm thinking, you know what? We don't even have to do... There are 2 tops I want to make, because I'm waiting to talk about this next episode. Stop. Anyway. Yes, I went over everything. I've told you everything about our dye project. That was 12 skeins that I dyed. What do you think? What's your favorite? What is your favorite? I think my favorite is both the charcoals are my favorite. I think it's because it's a black that's not black. Maybe I don't know, but I still love my pure black that I got out of that knitology too. Love that too. So I don't know. Wouldn't that be nice to make something with the black and the other black, the charcoal and the black together? Maybe I'll have to do that. I don't know. I'm really excited about how these came out, especially since we weren't even we haven't even been doing anything interesting with dye project. It's all been black. So I'm going to try to get that poncho done for next week. Got some works on dye project shawl for next week. Top might be finished. I don't know. We've only got 3 things right now. So now that we've got that half of Cardi, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to throw it on the back burner. Maybe something will come to me. If you have any advice for that half of Cardi, I just don't know. Do I need to go longer? How do I know if I need longer or just more? Because it's also still, see, it's still going to mess with the yardage. I'm still worried about the yardage. So that makes me want to just say, we'll just make this something. We'll just wait and we'll make that yarn something. It's not supposed to be this. It's going to be something else. And if that wants to be one of my Raglan Ponchos, I am totally okay with that. That might be the best thing it could be. I don't know. Or do you think that needs to be something? It was kind of cooling on the skin, so I'm wondering if that needs to be something more summer designed, more summery, more, for the warmer months than in the colder months, because it did not make me think of warm at all when I had it on. I would like to make that still. I would still like to make that. So maybe we dye some DK, and because my poncho might give me a better idea. And then the Raglan Poncho might give me a better idea at that Raglan top, and might give me, yeah, I'll figure something out. Anyway, should I tell you what our topic is? I don't really have a name for it, but I had some problems with paying for indie designed patterns, and I'm sure you have too, where you get this pattern and there's a bunch of stuff missing from it, or you contact the designer. And I've got some stories to tell you about indie designers and my dealings with them on Etsy and Ravelry and everything else, and myself being an indie dyer and what standard I hold myself to. And I thought we might want to talk about how to lessen your chances of wasting money on a pattern that you're not going to be able to make. Because you don't have any recourse after you've bought those patterns. There's non-refundable. Other than giving bad feedback or a bad review, you can't do much at all. So I'd like to kind of give you some tips so you're not taken in by, I also want to talk price points, okay, for indie designers patterns. So that's what I think I'd like to talk to you next week, is how to navigate indie designers when you're purchasing designs. Okay, does that sound like a good one? It's kind of weird how I'm like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And then something happens to me and I'm like, oh my God, this would be perfect. So I hope that's interesting to you. So if it is, subscribe so you know when that one comes out. As always, thank you for joining me. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.